talk about a little bit, re-emphasizing what we just read about in the history of the Underground Railroad and all of that. So this part of the book is going to be Harriet Beecher Stowe's book, and it goes right along with your reading home. So keep that to the side because we're going to read it next. Alright, so Harriet Beecher Stowe poured her heart into writing Uncle Tom's Cabin. This tale about the horrors of slavery moved many people in the North. At the same time, it angered many in the South. How did this novel help drive the nation apart and toward the Civil War? Alright, read for us, John.
Harriet Beecher Stowe first published chapters.
Okay, I want us to pause for a moment here, and here's where we're going to use our markers, because now this is just painted a picture in our minds, okay? So, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Close your eyes for just a moment. Her room opened by a side door to the river. She caught her child and sprang down the steps towards it. The trader caught a full glimpse of her just as she was disappearing down the bank and throwing himself from his horse and calling loudly on Sam and Andy. He was after her like a hound after a deer. In that dizzy moment, her feet, to her scarce, seemed to touch the ground, and a moment brought her to the water's edge. Right on behind they came, and nerved with strength such as God gives only to the desperate, with one wild cry and flying leap, she vaulted sheer over the current by the shore on the raft of the ice bank beyond. The huge green fragment of ice on which she alighted pitched and creaked as her weight came on it, but she stayed there not a moment. With wild cries and desperate energy, she leaped to another and still another cake, stumbling, leaping, slipping, springing upwards again. Her shoes are gone, her stockings cut from her feet while blood marked every step. She saw nothing, felt nothing, till dimly, as in a dream, she saw the Ohio side. Okay, what did you picture? What types of things? So I want you to, with your markers on the table, I want you to draw me just like a quick picture of her getting away. If you don't want to draw, you can just make a flow map if you don't like drawing. Or draw something to symbolize how you think she's feeling and what things are happening to her. Think of what her heart must be doing. Maybe you can somehow symbolize, because it uses the word desperate so often. So I see Thomas is drawing the river. And it said there was ice in the river. So what time period is this possible?
Winter.
Okay, probably a winter time. See, Emma's drawn her. She focused in on her, the person, right? Thomas is focusing in on the setting. Emma's focused in on her clutching to her baby.
You're fine, John.
What do you think? Maybe, John, show me a picture. Can you draw a picture that would show her desperation? What does desperate mean? Can you draw me a picture of desperate? No? Neither would try. If you're desperate, when it said here, where was that? Desperate energy. Get away. What do you think her heart's doing? Pounding. Can you draw a picture of that? That was a desperate energy. I liked the picture you had before. I don't know why you erased it. What do you think, Tabby? What about the way she looked here, Tabby? Maybe you can represent it. With wild cries and desperation, she leaped to another and still another, stumbling, leaping, slipping, springing again. Her shoes were gone. Her stockings cut. Blood marked every step. But she saw nothing, felt nothing.
Like what she looks like when jumping on the ice.
You could do that. Is that what you kind of, something we could picture? Because imagery is huge. Because didn't we just say that we want what she's trying to do in this is get people to empathize with what she's going through. Look at that heart, boom, boom.
Oh, he do it.
And you did that too.
That's
I like it.
It was really good, Thomas.
So we could describe Eliza based on like your pictures. We can describe her as desperate, right? Caring mother, right? What's another thing we could use to describe her? Oh, what did you write? Sad. This is not a happy thing, is it?
It's asleep.
Do you think she's scared? But she's being brave. I like that. So she's brave. So throughout our imagery, we're able to feel what she's feeling and maybe get a little bit of empathy for her. And that's what the author was trying to do. That's what Harriet Beecher Stowe was trying to do. Okay, what I want you guys to do is read the last parts of this. And as you're reading, I want you to stop and I want you to draw illustrations to bring out that empathy, because it's a big piece here. The whole purpose of her writing the book, it says she poured her heart into her writing. She'd heard so many horrors of slavery that she wanted to really, bring that out in the book. So as you read about what inspired her and where she kind of came from and some of the stories she had heard, when I come back, I'm going to check in on you and I want to see what you come up with, okay? And then we'll do a quick discussion and we'll talk about your homework and how it's related. Okay? Good? All right. So finish reading this, and then I'm going to come back and check in on you.
Is that it?
Read as a group, okay?
Is that good?
That was
The book. Okay, so what ideas are you guys coming up with for empathy?
Each category. Well, she said make an empathy holiday.
Okay, like a day where we might be able to recognize that people are different. So what are you finding out why people are bullied today? Why are people bullied today, like the slaves?
Usually because of their height, their clothes, their weight, their age, and how smart they are.
Ooh, so sometimes how smart they are. That's interesting. Okay, so what are some ways you're going to spread the word to get people to understand empathy and like Harriet Beecher Stowe did?
You know what? We actually could write a book.
Okay, you could. You could write a book. Could we start a newspaper? Like an empathy news? E-news. How about you guys? You've got some different categories going on. So why are people bullied? And who are bullied? Who are those people you see today getting bullied out there?
Usually people who are more different
Than other people?
who are one of a kind from everybody, but they are too nervous to talk to other people, so they barely have any friends, so other people pick on them from that.
Okay, so write that down. That's a good reason. Now what can you do, because if it's who, the people are, they see them as different, what can we do to see them not so different? Like Harriet Beecher Stowe did in her book. She was trying to say, we really aren't that different from them. If we lose a child, it still feels bad, you know?
I think that we can make everybody in the grade can make banners about themselves, and then we can share it with every class of who they are, and we might be able to make new friends from that.
Okay, so maybe make new friends.
You can write that down.
Are there any things already here at Hebron Valley that would help people get to know each other? What's out on the playground that...
The buddy bench.
Okay, so the buddy bench. Could we write that down?
Which one?
Well, could we start...